You may have heard your agent say something like, always meet the appraiser, and you might be wondering why. What does the appraiser even do? What is the point of that? And I think there's a lot of misconceptions on what an appraiser does in the process and the importance and value that they bring to the transaction. So today we're gonna break down why agents should always meet the appraiser and what the appraiser's role is in getting your home sold. So if you are a seller, this is great information for what you need to know on the listing side. And if you're a buyer or thinking about buying a house in the near future, it's important to know how the appraisal could affect your loan and why it's important to understand the appraisal and the appraiser's role in purchasing your next home. We talk all things in and around Baltimore, Maryland real estate, and today we're talking about the importance of meeting an appraiser. So when you purchase a home and there's a bank loan, so this is conventional financing, FHA financing, VA financing, or USDA, or any other type of financing product, the bank is going to make sure that they are making a wise investment, meaning they don't want to lend out more than the house is worth. So if you'd like to buy a house that is listed for $400,000, the bank just wants to do a quick gut check and make sure that that house is in fact worth $400,000. If it's not, they're not gonna lend on the full value of that. So already a bank is never gonna lend you 100% of the money. That's why you have a down payment, right? So let's say you have to put at least 5% down on a conventional loan. Well, in that scenario, you'd be putting about $20,000 down on that property, and they would be lending you the other $380,000. Now, if all of a sudden the house appraises for $390,000 instead of $400,000, the bank is no longer gonna lend you that $380,000. That number is gonna go down if you're still planning on putting the same percent down. So basically, an appraiser wants to go out and make sure the home is worth what you are under contract for. If it does not come in at value, the bank is not gonna lend you the same amount of money. And at that point, you're either going to need to come up with a difference in cash, meaning maybe you put a smaller down payment down. If you're planning to put 20% down, now maybe you only put 18% down and deal with some mortgage insurance for a couple of months, or maybe you have additional cash that you're able to supplement this with to bridge the gap. Or in many cases, you're gonna ask the seller to come down in price. So, hey, I'm not gonna pay $400,000 for this house that under appraised. I'm gonna pay the $390,000 that it's worth. Those are three different ways that you can approach an under appraisal. Now, to make this go a lot smoother, meeting the appraiser at the house as a listing agent is going to make sure you protect that appraisal as much as possible. The appraiser might have questions about the property. They might not know certain amenities that the property offers. They may have questions about ground rent in Baltimore. They might have questions about an HOA or a condo association. They might want to know how many offers you received or why that comp up the street was so different. You need to be able to speak to why you got the value for the home that you think it was worth, why it was priced the way that it was, and how you were able to get it under contract. They care a lot about the different attributes that make the home worth a certain value and how that compares to the other comps. Appraisers look at this all day long, and they have a very mathematical formula for coming up with value. It has to do with square footage, condition, lot size, and location. There's a ton of different things that go into an algorithm that they process that comes up with a value. And they have to show you the comparables that they use to price this house. They want comps that are as close as possible to your house so that they're not making a lot of adjustments. For example, if your house has a garage, they would really like to find a house that also has a garage to compare it to. If your house has a finished basement, they'd like to compare it to a house with a finished basement. The more differences between two comps, the more they have to adjust the price and the less accurate it becomes. So they're really looking for 3 or more very recent comps that are as close to your neighborhood as possible. So they want recent, they want close, and they want similar. If they're unable to find that, they're gonna maybe zoom out a little bit. They're gonna maybe allow for some discrepancies, and they're gonna maybe go back a little bit further in time. If they truly have trouble finding comps, that's where you can come in and be the hero and show them how to triangulate different information to get to this value.
Thinking about relocating to Baltimore? Well, I've got just the thing for you. My team and I have actually taken the time to create the ultimate relocation guide, which is meant to save you hours of research, and I've linked it all down below.
From top employers to best hospitals and a boatload of other things, all the stuff you'll need to know before making the move to in and around Baltimore. The best part, this guide is entirely free. Just click the link in the description at the top pinned comment. Hope this helps.
A common misconception is that appraisers don't want your house to appraise, that they're going to ruin the deal. That's not true. The bank actually does want to lend you money because they make money when they lend you money. If they don't give you a mortgage, they don't make money on your interest. So they do want to lend money. They do want your house to appraise so that they can lend money. But they're not going to do that in an egregious way. So if you're trying to get $400 for your house and every single comp says that it's worth $325, it's going to be very hard for an appraiser to adjust that. If you're trying to get $400 for your house and every single comp came in at $397, they might let that go. They might make a case for that. So the further off you are from appraised value and actual value, the harder it's going to be to bridge that gap. But if you're within range, honestly, most of the time in my experience, the appraiser does want the house to appraise and will make a case to do that. You being there to meet them can help show that you're a professional, you've priced this correctly, and you can answer questions that would allow them to raise that price up to where you need it to be. So always meet the appraiser when you're a listing agent, because you're going to make sure that that appraiser understands why you got the value and arrived at the value that you're at. If you're on the buy side, you just want to be informed with this appraisal process. You don't want to order that appraisal until you've already gotten through the negotiation process of property inspections. Property inspections are the #1 place that deals can fall apart. We have a whole other video on how to make sure that doesn't happen. But the truth is, if people can't see eye to eye on some of the major defects about a house, the deal could fall through. You don't want to pay for an appraisal up front, because that's the one thing as a buyer you're paying up front out of pocket. You don't want to pay $550, $650 to find out that your house appraises or doesn't, and then you don't even end up buying it. So wait until you get through the inspection process to order that appraisal, and then make sure that you feel really good about the price that you're under contract for. Also understand that if it does underappraise, you might need a backup plan. So be proactive. If you think there's going to be an issue or your agent is warning you that it might be a little inflated what you're paying, come up with an idea of how you want to bridge that gap. Do you have cash? Can you renegotiate the purchase price? Is there something else you can do, like put less money down to make all of the numbers work? The more proactive you are, the more options that you're going to have. As the buyer in an under appraisal situation, you're truly in the driver's seat with how you want to see this go. And if you're willing to start over or walk away, that's completely in your right if it under appraises. If the seller is willing to work with you and meet you at a lower purchase price or help you in some sort of way, then you might be able to get across the finish line even with an under appraisal.
Hey guys, it's Kelly. I'm here with Mike as well. And as much as I love making these videos, there's one thing I love even more, and that's helping families and people from all across the country make a move here to Baltimore. I moved here about 20 years ago and I've never looked back. I love helping countless families make the move as well. So whether you're coming out next week, next month, or even next year, don't hesitate to reach out. My contact information is right here on the screen, and I've linked the description in case you missed the on-screen pop-up. Look forward to helping you and your family make the move to Baltimore.
Now you might be thinking to yourself, Kelly, what if the appraisal is just flat out wrong? What if this appraiser is having a bad day and misses a big comp? Great question, and this does happen. You can actually refute the appraisal. You can go to the lender and show them more relevant comps, meaning they're in a closer geography, they are more recent in time, they have more similar attributes, and you can make a case for the property that you're trying to get appraised. I had an example recently where I was in a townhome community. Half of the townhomes were condos and half of them were just regular HOA. My property was a condo and an HOA, and it was being compared to properties that were just an HOA. I was able to make a case that the value was not exactly congruent between the two, which really helped with the appraisal. It was something that the appraiser missed because they weren't as familiar with this neighborhood. Small example of the fact that appraisers are just human, and it's their opinion on one day based on, the formula they use to apply value to a property. If they get it wrong, there is the ability to refute it. If they get it really, really wrong and you can't get anywhere with it, The other option is to throw out the entire loan and start over with a new lender and a new bank. And if you have time to do that at your disposal, that can also get you to the finish line. Your agent will do a great job coaching you and letting you know if there's a chance that this outcome could be different if you try it again. In some cases, you're just trying to bridge a gap that every single appraisal is gonna understand is not right. In others, you might be able to make a case with somebody else on a different day.
Now for the question of the day. For those of you looking to move within the state of Maryland, you're already here, you want to move to a different part. What part do you want to move to? Do you want to move from the city, out of the city, from Baltimore County to Anne Arundel County, Annapolis to Frederick? Let me know in the comments. I'm extremely interested. Get an understanding of where people are moving within the state. Even better, give me a call, shoot me a text. All my information is right on the screen here. Looking forward to hearing from you.
We love talking about all things real estate, especially the nitty-gritty, nerdy stuff like this. So what's your experience with appraisers? Have you ever had a good or bad experience? Do you know anything about this? And was your real estate impacted by an appraisal? We'd love to hear your stories if it has. And if you're thinking about listing your house and you're wondering what that true value is, what your house would appraise for, drop us your address, send us a message. We're happy to give you a 1,000-foot view of that. I'm Kelly Schuett. Today we were talking all things making sure your house appraises. This knowledge works nationwide, but we apply it here in the Baltimore area. And we have lots more videos about what it's like to live, work, and play in the Baltimore area. So make sure you like and follow along, and we'll see you on the next one.